AutoAudiography, and today it is a doozy. Whatever doozy means to you is what doozy means in that term, in that aspect. Today's album, as you can probably tell by the title, is Dead Kennedys In God We Trust, Inc. This was a huge, huge deal to me as a kid. It was originally released in 1981 as an EP. I think it's just black vinyl. There's not even a lyric sheet. They have the lyrics right on the back of the sleeve here, and it's been very difficult. Yeah, just standard black vinyl. Released in 1981 on, I want to say, Alternative Tentacles imprint. It says on here that Decay Music owns the rights to it. This pressing was pressed by Manifesto Records. So this was a Manifesto Records offering, repressed in this 33 1/3 45. So it may be wrong. Why did I say 33 1/3 45? But this is a full size 45 speed. Did I play this at 33 when I got it? And it sounded really weird. Absolutely, I did. But this may be the first album I owned that needed to be played at 45. So that's kind of a big deal. But when I got this came out in 81. Let's get it. There's no way I got this in 81. Wasn't alive in 81. I probably got this. I was probably 10 or 11, which sounds a little young for Dead Kennedys. But I was pretty advanced reading wise. I was an intelligent kid. I was bright. And this album shaped me in a way. It turned my thoughts away from, and probably I regret it. I wish I could have just enjoyed being a kid and not thought about obsessing over the government and about Nazis and neo-Nazis. We'll get to that also, though. And religion. I just wish I could have been a kid, but I couldn't. Maybe partly because of this album. But if there's one song on this album that shaped me in a way that nothing else on this album did, it's a simple 1:03 of just fast, angry, just distaste for neo-Nazis. The song Nazi Punks Fuck Off. And that's the very first song I ever heard by the Dead Kennedys. And I was sold immediately. I was so involved. I loved the sound of it. Up to the point when I heard this, my only foray into punk music was probably the Ramones that my dad showed me. So this kind of opened the door for punk music. And if anybody knows Dead Kennedys, they're not your, top of the stick of butter punk. They are in it. They are deep. They are the butter at the bottom of the tray when you're done with it, with all the breadcrumbs. Maybe you had corn. There's some like corn chunks in it, all melted. They're it. They are it. They personify punk rock, and they personify this anti-establishment, this just animosity towards everything structured and organized. And the first two songs out of this attack religion, which as a 10, 11-year-old kid, I hadn't even thought about it. I was raised Catholic. I was given a choice after my communion to if I wanted to continue, which I don't know if that's a choice a kid needs to make. I appreciated it. I guess they understood that I was a little more, mature for my age, even though I still wanted to be a kid. They gave me the option. I didn't want to go to catechism. What kid wants to go to catechism? So I chose not to go. That was done. That was the end of my religious experience. Although I think there may have been a little guilt in my mind about that. And probably about, if I was 10 or 11, a year or two later, I started delving into religion. This helped me with that. Not in the fact that I automatically despised religion, but it was the first time there was a case against it. I think it was the first time I heard a case against religion, which was weird for me. Um, I mean, we weren't the most devout Catholics, if you will, but I think also that Catholic guilt that is instilled upon every Catholic child was still deep inside me. And then I went on to I read every religious text I could. I read the Quran. I read the Torah. I read multiple versions of the Bible. I've read the Buddhist books. I've read everything just to educate myself so I could make an informed decision on what I wanted to believe in and what I wanted to, be a part of, if you will. But this album, with its just blatant disregard for religions, the very first song, Religious Vomit, all religions make me sick. All religions make me want to throw up. All religions suck. Just it's that anger, it's that just pure disregard for the established hierarchy that was in my head. Religion was like number one, and nobody messed with it. Nobody talked shit about it in the music I listened to, and this was just eye opening to me. I said, wow, if that's a thought process, if that's a way that somebody can think, they're not the only ones. There's definitely more people out there, and it probably brought my ideas to the point where I was like, maybe I do need to investigate this. But Nazi Punks Fuck Off, the song, the minute and 3 seconds, where it's just talking about just railing against neo-Nazism. Let's say a couple years later, after this, this almost became a theme of mine because there was this group of Nazis, neo-Nazis, who lived in the town that I live in, and me and 3 of my best friends who, very much similar to me, bonded over music, bonded over a lot of Dead Kennedys. It was almost like a war where we were out to destroy their stuff. We wanted to fight them. There were threats involved of death coming our way. Nothing ever came of it. Luckily, we were just dumb kids. I don't even remember how old these neo-Nazis were. They may have been like legitimate adults for all I know. But it was very strange. When I think on that time of my life, it doesn't even make sense to me. It feels like a movie. It feels like I wasn't alive. I was just in a blur of just anger and beer and just the punk lifestyle at the time. I think I was so involved in the scene, if you will, the scene that we created, because there was nothing like us around. We were the 4 people in the town who, like, that was it. Like, we dressed in the punk rock fashion. I mean, chains, studs, vests, leather jackets, you name it, mohawks, huge mohawks. We were the only ones. There was nobody else in this town that dressed like us. So when a lot of stuff went down, it did get aimed our way. All 3 of my friends were older than I was, so I was kind of the young kid out, but I looked old enough, I guess, because never really, got in many problems. We got very lucky, I think. We got pretty lucky. But Nazi Punks Fuck Off, it opened my eyes to punk rock. It opened my eyes to the Dead Kennedys, which made me go on to just explore their entire library. And Jello Biafra is one of the most interesting individuals of all time, I want to say. Another quick note on the Dead Kennedys. In high school, I think he taught my 8th grade English class, as well as I took a college credit English class in high school. He taught that as well. He was a giant fan of the Dead Kennedys. And this man was extremely intelligent. This man was very bright. This man basically changed the way I viewed learning, changed the way I viewed a lot of things in life, to be honest with you. He also saw me change, though. He saw me go from my 8th grade when I was this kid who was doing drugs and, not giving a damn, to by senior year, and he didn't see me in between there, I was this basically adult because I had, given up everything I was doing. I had become straight edge. I was investigating new things. I was doing new things. I was trying to experiment with, positive energy in my life. And he actually got me involved in a musical school. He was the theater director. And The musical is actually called Dracula, a punk rock musical, and it was exactly how it sounds. It was this band who went into Dracula's castle. I played the drummer who had no lines. And now I don't mean I didn't say anything. I mean he had no coherent lines. All of his lines were just words mumbled together. Just kind of your cliche, just drummer. He's just a drummer. And but it was all. But I had to learn these mumbled, put together abortions of sentences because he said they all meant something. They were all words individually, and I guess they planted seeds for other things happening later. It was annoying, but I learned it all, and I had a great time. I really loved it. I'm glad he pushed me into doing it. But when I found out he was a Dead Kennedys fan in 8th grade, that may have started my mental shift into thinking that, well, if this guy likes Dead Kennedys, because he was the teacher, he was the superior, he was almost the establishment. If this guy likes Dead Kennedys, then this guy can't be that bad. And it may have made me start to see him, but teachers as a whole, as people, and not just as these cogs in the machine, man. Because I'm sure I had that attitude at one point. We're just helping the machine, man. We need to bring it down. Anarchy. Uh, I read a lot of government and politic books. I studied a lot of politics and government. You know, I read the Federalist Papers when I was like 13, which is a whopper. Um, but that'll tell you where I was at mentally as a 13-year-old listening to punk rock, reading the Federalist Papers. I was an interesting kid. I don't know if I would have been able to handle myself as a kid. Honestly, I don't. I respect everybody who had to deal with me. I respect anybody who had to deal with the shit I said. But it's all thanks, mostly thanks to Dead Kennedys. Because without the Dead Kennedys, I wouldn't have questioned religion. I wouldn't have went down that path. I wouldn't have met some of the best friends I've ever met in my life. I would never have had those as friends. I would not be who I am today without Dead Kennedys, without In God We Trust Inc., without the song particular Nazi Punks Fuck Off. Oh, I love that song so much. It just brings such a deep-seated anger in me when I listen to it, but up through it blooms love, because that song changed me musically, changed me physically, changed me emotionally. They'll never change me physically. I didn't grow a beard. I had a neck beard at like 12 years old. But I love this album. And I know Scott talks a lot about cover art when he was talking about finding new music. When I bought this, I didn't know Nazi Punk's Fuck Off was on this album. And I was at, I think it may have been FYE, and I saw this album cover, and I said, "Oh, Dead Kennedys." And the only song at the time I've heard by them was Nazi Punk's "Fuck Off," and I said, "I need to get this." I think it was actually released. It was reissued. It was a double CD with In God We Trust Inc. and Plastic Surgery Disasters, and the Plastic Surgery Disasters art is jarring as well. But I saw this, and it was just such a yes, like such a yes, that I had to grab it. I had to get it. And when Nazi Punk's Fuck Off was on it, end of story. Like, I'm in. So punk rock will always, always remain in my top two genres of all time, because it shaped me. The Dead Kennedy shaped me. Because not only is it punk and angry punk, there is an intelligence behind it. As crazy and wild as that intelligence may seem, it's there. And I think crazy and wild intelligence may describe me, and maybe my new professional wrestling name, because that's really how I related. But Plastic Surgery Disasters, Dead Kennedys, give it a listen. If nothing else, spare a minute 3 of your time. Listen to Nazi Punks Fuck Off, and imagine me as a 10-year-old hearing that song and saying, you know what? Fuck them. Everybody. Because that's what happened, and that's how you got this. You're welcome. I don't know why you're welcome. Thank you, Dead Kennedys. And thank you for watching. And let me know if you listen to this. I love this album.